And good afternoon, Winnipeg High School Hockey League fans. Welcome into episode 5 of the official Winnipeg High School Hockey League podcast, Scholasticks. I'm your host, Graham, the G-Show Forsyth. We're brought to you by Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Terrico, Goaltenders, Movement, Fitness, and Performance, as well as Elite Prospects. In this edition of Scholastics, we're going to take you through our first ever Winnipeg High School Hockey League game day broadcast that went down the beautiful Southeast Events Center in Steinbach as the Steinbach Sabres opened up their season in the Platinum Promotions Division against the College Belleville Barracudas this past Wednesday. We'll also go over the schedule again, the teams that have moved up a division, the teams that have gone down. Went through that on episode 4, but in episode 5, for those that might have not caught episode 4, we'll give you a bit of a recap on that, and then we'll take you through what's going down this weekend. It's the Springfield Sabres homecoming tournament that ended up starting today. Many teams from around the league, all divisions, are participating in it this weekend. We're also going to get into some other league games in terms of league action that is being played and has been played throughout the past few days as things start to heat up ahead of Thanksgiving weekend here in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. We'll also have highlights, as mentioned, from Belleville and Steinbach coming up soon here, but first we're going to send to a first commercial break in this edition of Scholastics. You'll hear from Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, and we'll be back to talk about everything I just mentioned coming up soon here. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. And welcome back into Scholastics episode 5 here as we start things off by talking about this matchup. The first matchup to go down this year in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, and that was the Steinbach Regional Sabres taking on the College Belleville Barracudas. 5-1 win in favor of the Sabres in this matchup. We're going to get the highlights in just a moment, but yeah. Steinbach looked strong, very strong on opening day against a Historically good program in College Belleville, who's back into the A division, as we will get to some of the best moments from that game in just a moment here, as we put it onto the screen now. So it would be a 0-0 game for the first little while in the first period. Steinbach dominating in the shots. They were on a power play. It would end up going back to even strength here as Tatro puts it into the back of the net, number 18 for the Sabres, just as that power play was expiring. Later on in this game, Steinbach got up to a 3-0 lead. As in the third period, their goaltender, Amor, a bit of a misplay, allows for Hepburn to swoop in for the Barracudas. Clean wraparound chance, and he delivers on it, giving Belleville a bit of hope, but it would be crushed here just a few moments later as that shot contested goes wide and allows for Steinbach to get possession of it. Stretch pass up off the boards, and working in was Freeze and Veristiak would finish it off for a 4-1 goal for the Steinbach Regional Sabres. Steinbach would end up adding on one more goal in that matchup to make the final 5-1. As for the A division this year, as we take a look at it, Steinbach, of course, returning into the A division for yet another season. And by the way, the Morris tournament that I talked about them winning last week against CJS, or I guess at the start of this week since we put out episode 4 on Monday. Yeah, Steinbach doesn't really have anything to do with league play, but just the consistency of this program to win the Morris tournament 4 years in a row as they four-peated a few weeks ago. But yeah, for Steinbach, they looked fast, they looked strong, like your typical A division team. Very good passing. They got some high-end talent on this year's squad, led by number 15 and Jaeger Buchert, who he only heated up as the game went along. And as for College Belleville, their goaltender in Avery Seawalk tried his best to hold them in that game, but from what I heard, from an inside source, someone that's actually close to the Belleville team, turns out that they felt as a coaching staff that this was one of the worst games their program has played in the last 2 years. So, hey, it can only get better from here if you're College Belleville. I do like the way they continue to fight and try to stay in that game, trying to stage a comeback just a little too late. We'll see if they can continue to improve here as this season goes along. As for the A division in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, just trying to take a look at their website, Winnipeg. There we go. Just taking a look at other matchups that have happened from around the A division so far. There's only been one game played so far, but Shaftesbury, they'll be going on the road. Eric Coy. That game actually has started already. It went live at 3:45 p.m. for puck drop. And yeah, Shaftesbury, of course, coming in as the champions of the Winnipeg Free Press division last season. As for the Winnipeg Free Press division, there's been a few games that have already gone down there. As for J.H. Bruns, opening up their season yesterday against College Pierre Elliott Trudeau with a 4-3 victory in overtime. J.H. Bruns will be back in action against Stonewall at home on Wednesday next week. As for CPET, their action continues this upcoming weekend as they've already played a game against College Belleville at the Springfield Homecoming Tournament. In terms of league play, CPET will be back in action on Thursday next week against the Leo Remillard Renards. As for the Price division, actually we'll show you the Free Press division here, the teams that are in it, as the Louis-Riel Voyageurs and Churchill Bulldogs ended up moving up from the Price division to the Winnipeg Free Press B division. The Dakota Lancers, J.H. Bruns Broncos, Springfield Sabres, and Stonewall Rams all moving down from the top division in the Platinum Promotions. As for the Price division, a few things have changed. Lundar, of course, the new team, new kids on the block. And yeah, other than that, the division stayed fairly the same. I know for Glenlawn as well as Powerview Sag King, they didn't have enough bodies to field teams this season, so that's why Lundar steps in this year. And yeah, interesting. Two A division opponents last season in the West K Wolverines and the John Taylor Pipers being knocked down to divisions for 2025-2026. And as for how the Price division started off, it was the Niverville squad taking on Linden Christian the Wings yesterday. And as for Niverville, they come away with a 4-3 victory at South Winnipeg Community Center as they end up winning in a close one to start their season off with a W here in the regular season in 2025-2026. They'll be back in action at home at the CRRC in Niverville, Manitoba this Tuesday against, like I mentioned, the new kids on the block in the Lundar Kodiaks. And yeah, just taking a look at how this October is going to go for teams in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. This is the Platinum Promotions Division schedule. Of course, Oak Park and Shaftesbury, they are already underway in their game, but playing this division's really going to start picking up next week. 2 games on Tuesday, 3 games on Wednesday, 3 on Thursday, as well as 3 on Friday. G-Show Productions will have the call for a few of those games coming up next week. As for the Winnipeg Free Press division, they're also going to get rolling not until Wednesday next week, but triple header on Wednesday, double header on Thursday, and then 4 games happening on Friday. Loaded schedule coming up as we finally see hockey return here in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. And as for the C division, the Price division, of course, the only matchup of this week was played yesterday with Niverville winning 4-3. Of course, they'll be back in action against Lundar coming up on Tuesday. And yeah, this Price division, they really don't get going into the full swing of things until not next week, but the week after, as you can see here on the screen. And quite a busy last week to end things off, too, in that division, as we see there. We are going to send it to another promo screen here as I continue to try to load up everything into our broadcast software here to show you all on this Friday, on this fun Friday, on what's been a very busy day on G-Show Productions. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are, we'll be back soon here. And welcome back to this edition of the Scholasticks podcast, the official Winnipeg High School Hockey League podcast, brought to you by Movement Fitness and Performance, Goaltenders, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Terrico, and Elite Prospects. As we've recapped, where the teams are placed in the divisions they are this season. We've also shown you some highlights from our first ever Winnipeg High School Hockey League game day call, which was Steinbach Regional Sabres coming away with a 5-1 victory over the College Belleville Barracudas. The Barracudas, they're competing in the Springfield Homecoming tournament this weekend, and they actually came away with a win against a B Division team in Pierre-Elliott Trudeau today by a score of 6-4. So Belleville, I believe, will be back in action coming up throughout this weekend, as many teams are competing in this year's Springfield Homecoming tournament. Hoping to, potentially cover that next season as a broadcast company. But as for league play, as we'll show you this graphic that was made from the Oak Park Raiders. Oak Park Hockey is where you can find them on Instagram. Shout out to Jaden of Shaftesbury as well for designing some nice graphics on Shaftesbury Instagram account for this matchup. Great to see the graphics leveling up this year in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League throughout these Instagram accounts. But of course, be sure to check out winnipeghshl.ca to see how that game ends up turning out, as they may have the final score posted today once that game is ended. As for Pierre-Elliott Trudeau, of course, yesterday losing 4-3 to J.H. Bruns, as J.H. Bruns, it took OT for them to win, outshot CPET by quite a bit. Very impressive that they only allowed 4 goals on those 45 shots. But of course, CPET, they'll be back in league action coming up next week, as mentioned. And as for now, they're competing in the Springfield Homecoming tournament. As for the Sabres, they're going up against the Red Lake Rams today. That game just started to kick off the 12th annual Sabres Homecoming tournament, as teams from throughout the province taking on each other, not just Winnipeg High School Hockey League teams this week. And quite a few different venues where these teams are going to be playing in. For Beausejour, for example, which is Edward Schweier, Price Division squad, they'll be going to Garson, then to Beausejour, so they'll be at home coming up. And they also will have an away game. I believe that is going to be, their home opener coming up against Garson next week against Linden Christian. Sorry, misread that graphic. Their first home game is going to be against Murdoch McKay in Beausejour, and then they'll have an away game, of course, coming up against John Taylor. But as for the Springfield tournament, they're going to be in action this weekend coming up. They also have a home tournament that's going to go next weekend. Be sure to follow them and check them out on Instagram if you either go to the school and you want to follow how their season goes and how their hockey team does, or if you're just a fan of the Winnipeg High School Hockey League in general, be sure to check out this page, as well as all of the Instagram pages from these teams throughout this season here in 2025-2026. And as for us, we're planning to release our broadcast schedule today. That didn't end up being the case. We're going to release it Monday now, because I got to go down to certain arenas and test if we're actually able to go out and do games there. I know we were originally supposed to do Niverville and Linden Christian yesterday, but just because that barn's so old and wasn't sure how Wi-Fi would hold up, it's not the greatest there. Decided to make an executive call and just leave you with one game for this weekend, or for this past week of action. But not to worry, we're going to be making up for that game that we ended up missing between Linden Christian and Niverville. We're going to try to schedule both those teams in whatever games they may be playing as the season goes along to feature them. Like we promising this month, maybe, more so featuring them down the line in the months of November, December, January, February, right? And of course, we'll be keeping an eye on them and hoping to broadcast those two teams during the playoffs. And yeah, in terms of our broadcast schedule, I know we're still going to be doing around about 11 games this month coming up. We're still on track for that number over 10, and then of course we have the Sturgeon Heights Husky Classic that's going to be coming up not next week but the week after, which we'll have details about that on our Instagram and on our website as well coming up soon, as we'll be making an announcement that we'll be doing that event. But really excited to see how things are going to play out here in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League this season. If Wednesday was any indication, it's a fast league. It's a league with a lot of skill. And I know that was the A division we covered, but there's a lot of talent throughout all three divisions. As you can even date back to last year as a team in the Price division like the Louis Rail Voyageurs ended up being a dominant force and ended up, of course, winning their first championship in since we've returned to play here from the COVID-19 pandemic. And just to hear the story of how that team was able to go 0-48 throughout a combined 2 years to working their way up to win a championship was pretty phenomenal to hear about, especially from the point of view from their head coach and Rob Lafreniere. But there's great stories like that from throughout this league, and that was a C division team last year. It's great to see them moving up to the B division, of course, and the way the competition committee has made things, I think that once again we're going to see three fairly competitive divisions again for this 2025-2026 season, as we usually do see here in this league. And I guess the point I was trying to make about the three divisions, like I said, it's always nice to see the balance, but even though the C division, the Price division is the lowest out of the three, there's still a lot of high-level hockey there. Same within the Winnipeg Free Press division, and then, for sure in the Platinum Promotions division, that's the best of the best in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League that have been chosen to play there this year. And next week, I believe we're going to have matchups from the Platinum Promotions division, the Winnipeg Free Press division, as well as the Price division. Stay tuned for Monday, as we'll be making the big announcement, officially releasing our schedule everywhere we can, on our website, on our Uscreen service, on our Instagram, you name it. Basically that'll be it for this edition of Scholasticks. We're going to throw it to one last commercial break here, again from Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, and then I'll be back here with some final words on this Friday afternoon, on what's been a very busy and fun Friday for myself here down in the studio in my basement. We'll see you in a moment here. First, a message from Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. Well, you've made it to the end of this edition of the Scholasticks podcast, the official podcast of the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. I've been your host, as always, Graham, the G Show Forsyth. Want to thank everyone for tuning into this one. Whenever you may be doing so, I know we don't have a ton of live viewers right now, but that's simply because it's a busy day in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. Teams opening up their season and regular season action. We got the Springfield Sabres homecoming tournament going on as we ramp up for. It's going to be the busiest week yet. I know we're only going to be 2 weeks in next week, but it's going to be quite eventful. Can't wait for it. We got a lot of great stuff coming up this month that we're going to be showcasing from throughout the league on our game day content as well as on this podcast here. So if you are a huge fan of the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, whether that's with one team in particular or the league as a whole, be sure to subscribe here on our YouTube channel as we'll be dropping this podcast weekly. On Fridays, next edition of the Scholasticks podcast will not only feature guests, as the last 2 episodes, I know it's a really busy time, so I've kind of let things be in terms of having guests on, letting these coaches, these players settle in before giving them some media time. But yeah, can't wait to reveal the guest list for next week. I'm not even sure what it's going to be, but I know that it's going to feature some coaches, that's for sure. Potentially C-Div coach, potentially an A-Div coach. You'll just have to wait to find out when we drop the details for the next episode, which will be coming out near the start of next week, as we'll be loading things into gshow.ca. As for an intro for this podcast, that's also going to be coming next week, as we finally got that ready. You're also going to hear an intro and outro now for our game day broadcasts, which, of course, our game day broadcasts, be sure to check them out at gshowproductions.uscreen.io. Our handle to that website is in the description of this episode, as always. And there's single game options to choose from this year, as well as there's going to be subscription options monthly and annually. And by the way, any money you pay to watch WHSHL game day content this year on our Uscreen service, a portion of that money goes right back into the Winnipeg High School Hockey League for them to help better themselves with a new revenue service that we've implemented this year through our game day content, bringing Winnipeg High School Hockey League game days to our network this year. Got a taste of it last week, or this week, I guess, 2 days ago, and only want to call more games coming up here in this league. So can't wait to see what the month of October and beyond will have in store for us. And by the way, as for our schedule, I've talked about how that's going to be released, our game schedule, coming up on Monday. Once it is released, all games will be available that we're broadcasting to purchase in advance on our Uscreen service at gshowproductions.uscreen.io. But as for myself, Graham, the G Show Forsyth, the work never stops. We got an MFHL game day broadcast that's going live tonight at the Hockey for All Center. We're also going to have an MMJHL broadcast that's going to go live in Morris, Manitoba at 8:30 p.m. We're back with the MFHL tomorrow to do an afternoon game in Niverville. And then we got a doubleheader of MMJHL game day for you on our Uscreen service. Coming up on Sunday, this Thanksgiving Sunday. And speaking of Thanksgiving, everybody, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have a wonderful and safe weekend. I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth. I'm going to give you the peace out and wave so long now. Until next Friday, everybody. We'll see you again for this podcast in episode 6. Be sure to check out our schedule, which will be released, of course, on Uscreen and on our Instagram and on gshow.ca come Monday. Can't wait to show you what we have in store for this month coming up. Scholasticks episode 5 in the books. Take care, everybody.